Hello.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you.
We're really excited to have you today. I'm going to be interviewing you, aren't I, and asking you a few questions.
Okay.
Should we get started?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, do you want to maybe start by introducing yourself? Tell everyone a bit more about BizClik Media as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Stacey Green. I'm the Chief People and Sustainability Officer here at BizClik Media. I look after the global people strategy and the sustainability and the community initiatives at BizClik. BizClik is a global media and events company. We hold 26 different brands within our platform. That's from sustainability to technology, fintech, finance, HR. Probably every industry you can think of, we have either a touch point from a magazine to an event, to a webinar or a round table. And our primary focus is to influence, I guess, global influencers within their sectors, and tell their stories, business-wise and their professional stories.
Amazing. So you're kind of, I guess, creative and corporate.
Yes. Yeah.
Creative in the corporate world.
Yes, absolutely.
And so talk to us about all the different kind of roles you have at BizClick Media and from a young person's perspective, like what are some of the entry level routes in?
Yeah, absolutely. We do an amazing internship program, which is either in London or in Norwich, which is our HQ. And we've taken on 6 interns this year from video, so videographers, photographers, editorial, so intern into either writing content for our social media or our magazines, marketing as well, so bringing in interns into the marketing area, and our technology team. So our technology team is very big for the size of our business. And we are looking for young and inspiring people who want to learn about technology and AI, and help us to discover new platforms and how we can be more effective.
Lots of different areas.
Yes.
Lots of it. And so what do you as the, I guess, people officer and like in the talent team, what do you look for when someone's applying to those entry level roles? Is it experience? Is it qualifications? What do you specifically
I think it's a really good
want?
mix. For us, it's all about energy and curiosity. There has to be a willing to learn as well. So, thinking of our perfect candidate, we don't necessarily always look at, do they have 5 A levels in a specific subject? It's more about their willingness to come in, and learn something new, get stuck in, and be a part of a team. It's about taking ownership and wanting to grow within a career. So, being reliable, responsible, resourceful, a strong communicator is always a positive to have. And those are the people who are super, I guess, super successful here at BizClick. We are a really fast-pacing media company. So somebody who can keep with that pace, somebody that can think outside the box. But I think it's just willingness to want to do well and work within, a close collaboration.
Mm. I think yeah, no, we definitely are hearing that theme across all of the different employers that we've spoken to this event.
Yeah.
It's definitely, yeah, like you said, willingness, passion, all of those kind of soft skills. Um, how would you say someone could show that on a CV? Because sometimes it's quite hard to show that on
Yeah.
paper. Do you have any tips on how, yeah,
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
examples?
I mean, I probably see 25 CVs a day that come in through our website, and the ones that stick out for me are the ones where they show who they are as a person. So things like hobbies. What else have they learned outside of maybe school? Their own initiative that they've taken to go and learn something. For me, it's also looking at things like grammar and not using AI, so no chat GPT, and you can spot that a mile away. even if there is, a slight spelling mistake, we overlook that because you can read the passion in the CV. So it's really talking about who they are as a person. The skills are clearly important, but for us, it's about the person. For example, we had an intern that started in January and her CV was amazing. She spoke about who she was, what she wanted to achieve. She spoke about her hobbies outside of work, and it wasn't on a plain white background with black writing. You could see it was her personality, and those are the kind of things that really stick out. As soon as I see a CV that doesn't look like every other one, that's the one I go to straight away. So it's those little things that I think are really important, showing your personality on a CV.
Yeah. And maybe we should do that next time is actually have some examples of what does a CV with personality look
Yeah,
like? Because I think
yeah,
maybe when you compare the two together, it's then quite obvious, and maybe
yes,
that would be really useful for students.
yeah, definitely.
And then talking about like culture,
Hmm.
do you want to talk a bit about your culture at BizClik Media?
Yeah,
Um, and
absolutely.
then talk about how, again, like culture fit is so important. Or, companies are always saying we're looking for people to fit our culture.
Yeah.
But what does that actually mean?
Yeah, I think everybody thinks that culture means you have to be similar to everybody else in the business, and that's not really it at all. And I think people use the word culture, I guess quite in the wrong way. I mean, culture is, do you align with the company's vision and the mission and the values? Is it something that aligns with who you are as a person? So, for example, BizClick, our kind of values are we're fast paced. Everybody in the business thinks commercially. We are very much a people first business, and every single person is clear and accountable for their own area. So I think the word culture can be misinterpreted, um, especially within a HR function, because as soon as someone says you have to fit culturally, they think, okay, everyone has to be the same, and that's not it at all. So what I would say to be a good cultural fit, the most important thing is before you go to an interview, look at their website, look at do their values and their mission as a business fit with who you are as a person? Because if it doesn't, then it's never going to be the right fit. So do that bit of research beforehand. Always show enthusiasm for the company's mission. So if they say, we want to be the biggest, for example, global media company in the world, and somebody's not looking for that fast progression, they're not going to fit. So, talk about teamwork and collaboration. BizClick, for example, it's everybody in the business is a person, they're not a number, everyone works really close together. And that's the one strong thing about BizClick's culture. So it's all about teamwork. Um, and you need to really give examples of how you take ownership. So although we are, a collaborative team, you have to take ownership over your job. And that's the one good thing about BizClick is you are the master of your own destiny. You must be prepared to be punctual and positive, and also ask really thoughtful questions about the business. So, for example, ask questions like, how was the business founded? What was the ambition when you started? How did you get to where you are now? Culture fit is about attitude and behaviors and not about personality. So I think learning that and fitting in with the company is kind of where the culture fit is.
No, that's really important. Like you said, like looking at the mission and the values,
Mm,
and I think it's like, you don't have to have direct experience in the exact thing that you're going after,
yeah,
but you mentioned teamwork, you mentioned fast pace, and if you can use examples, whether that's the sport you're playing or, you know, your hobbies, it's like,
yes,
can you just match that? Where's the teamwork element
yeah,
in that, and then give that as a good example.
absolutely.
Um, and once, say, someone is in the job, what are some of the things that you think make them grow quickly? And
Yeah,
also, what are the things that could hold people back?
I would say one of the most important things is to ask questions. We always say when someone starts here, no question is a silly question. Ask as many questions as you need because we don't want people to be stuck. As soon as somebody's stuck and they don't want to ask questions, it's difficult to get out of that. So ask the questions, don't be afraid, and always seek feedback. Feedback is how you will grow. So go to your manager and say, what did you think about this project? Or how can I improve this? It's never a negative. We see that as a positive because we can see the willingness to want to improve. Show up early, ready, and prepared. So we have kind of a mantra at BizClik that everybody spends 1 hour on a Sunday and we prep ready for the next week. So we go through our emails, we check our actions, we write our to-do list. So Monday morning we come in and we're ready to go. And sometimes I think we all focus on perfection rather than progress. So we really need to look at what does progress look like. And I think we learn from our mistakes. So if you make a mistake, it's not a bad thing because you'll know not to do it again. So it's focusing on the progress, and take ownership, even if they're small little tasks that you might think are very small compared to the big picture. Those small tasks put together is what makes a business run. And these behaviors kind of build trust and helps accelerate people's opportunities within the business.
No, 100%. And I think, we often hear that a lot of people start a job and then it's maybe not what they think it is, or it's
Yeah.
not, and they're maybe a bit bored, or I don't know, whatever it is. But I think there's a lot that you can do yourself to try
Yes.
and find that excitement again. And that does link to progress. So it does link to asking questions if you're stuck, because there's nothing worse than feeling like you can't do the task or
Yeah.
don't know what you're doing. So then obviously you're going to get bored and like disengaged.
Yeah.
And people are there to help you. You've got to ask for help. Um,
Absolutely.
and what about confidence? Like, do you have any, I guess, personal tips on how people can be more confident? Because it is scary starting your first job.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, I've been in HR for 20 years, so I'm not sure I can remember that far back. But yeah, absolutely. I think learning about the company when you first start, so, doing your research, understanding what products or services they provide, learning about the people in the business. So asking for a copy of their organizational chart and looking at who the people are and where they work. It helps build that internal network. Always prepare the night before, so making sure that you've got everything that you need. Constantly asking for check-ins if needed. Celebrate your small wins. You don't need anyone else to pat you on the back, but celebrate your own small wins. If you feel you've achieved something really amazing, pat yourself on the back. Always stay curious. Always ask the questions. What are we doing next? How can I help support you? Those things will help build your confidence because your manager will see that you're really engaged, and practicing your skills, things that maybe you're not very good at, but it's a big part of your job. Practice them. Spend your lunchtime researching something or in the evening looking into how you can improve a certain skill. And it might be using LinkedIn or a soft skill, how to communicate better. Once you start to think outside the box, that's where your confidence will grow. And you've been hired for that job. There's probably 50 other people that have applied, and you were the one that was hired. So, you have to be confident in your ability on your first day because out of all those people, you were selected. So, think about the tasks that you're given, break them down, um, and it's much easier to achieve when you break those things down.
Mm.
And as soon as you complete one task, your confidence will continue to grow. And yeah, it's a big part of the first job. My daughter just started her first role. So I can see how nerve-wracking that is. But I gave her the same advice and her confidence has grown massively. So, take your time, ask the questions, stay curious, and break a bigger task down to smaller pieces. And once you've achieved them, celebrate your wins.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right. You've got to celebrate your wins. And I think sometimes, it's okay to feel uncomfortable and it's okay to feel like you're not confident. That's normal.
It
And
is, yeah. Even in someone who's in a leadership position at times feels that lack of confidence. So
and sometimes the word, it's not what people want to hear, but to feel uncomfortable, that is when you do grow your confidence.
yeah,
No one gets confidence overnight, or like you
yeah,
can't read a book and then you're suddenly going to get it. You
yeah,
do have to put yourself through it and exactly like constantly gain confidence throughout your career. So actually
yeah,
just being comfortable with the feeling is something that everyone could try and do.
yeah.
Um, so in terms of long-term success, I think this, the next generation and most people want to progress quite quickly. They
Mhm.
want to I guess they see a lot of their peers like getting success quite early, but
Yeah.
would you say that would you say that success takes a long time, or what kind of advice would you say to younger people when it comes to progression?
Yeah, I mean, things are different from when I first started. It was all about how you showed up to work. It was all about your behaviors and the way you adapted to change was how quickly you progressed and how much time and effort you put in. I do think a lot of people nowadays expect to go from junior to director in a couple of years, but I must say there's no sense of achievement in that. I think it took me 15 years before I got to a director level. And that for me was a massive achievement. So I would suggest don't jump. Don't run before you can walk. Make sure that you know every single element of your role before you take that next step up, because there's nothing worse than going into a role and you're completely lost. So make sure you're learning along the way. Take your time, make those mistakes. It's really important to learn from them, but start to build professional habits. Stay curious, always learning. One important thing I believe is networking internally and externally. And if you feel like you're not progressing as fast as you possibly think you should be, find a mentor. Have somebody as, a sounding board. What can I do in this situation? Um, but show pride in what you're actually achieving. Shout about it on LinkedIn. Um, show pride in where you've got to over, a 5-year period. But keep in mind those long-term goals and break them down into maybe yearly goals. So your 5-year plan is by 5 years, I want to be a CMO of a global digital company. Okay, well, how do I get there? Break it down. How do I be the best possible CMO within that industry? Break those down into maybe every 6 months and check back with yourself. Am I progressing as quickly as I need to? What do I need to do to progress quicker? But make sure that you are ready for that step. And make sure your abilities and your confidence are there. So when you step into a role, you know exactly what you need to do. Because if you make that jump and you're not quite ready, you're not going to feel great about yourself. So small, consistent behaviors will compound into the bigger success. So breaking those down, habits, curiosity, your network, mentor, asking for feedback, have pride in your work, and set those goals, set those 5, 10-year goals and work towards them.
Mm. I mean, there's a long journey ahead, isn't there? Like
Yeah.
you're working for a long time.
Yes. You have to enjoy it as well. You really have to enjoy your work. And I think somebody who loves getting up and doing their job every day, that shows. So make sure you follow your passions and you will have an amazing career.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think, like you said, you don't really want to just jump to the top,
No.
because when you get to the top, it's not that interesting. Like, you're not actually doing anything. You're kind of more managing people, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
actually not as exciting as you think it might be.
I absolutely agree. I remember when I was first promoted to Chief Operating Officer, and it was a bit like, is this it? I've
Yeah.
worked 15 years, is this it? So yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, you're kind of not in the nitty gritty or like the hustle and the bustle anymore, or
Yeah,
like doing, the actual fun bits. You
yeah,
are kind of managing. You've also got more responsibility, more pressure,
yeah.
and those are things actually you don't really want at a younger age. You want to
No,
enjoy, not working on the weekends and finishing at 5 o'clock, hopefully, and getting to
yeah,
do other things.
absolutely.
Um, well, we've run out of time, Stacey, but your last question is, yeah, what would be your one piece of advice to every young person at the beginning stages of their career?
Yeah, I think my the best piece of advice I can give is you're not going to have everything figured out on day one. Your career, everyone's careers evolve over time, and the most successful people start with staying curious, working hard, and keep saying yes to opportunities. It's a bit, for example, say yes even if you don't know, and you can find out. Progress happens when you lean in, not when you wait. So,
Love that. Be actionable, proactive.
absolutely.